Hey everybody, Steve Burton here at Scale to Sell. Welcome to episode 29. We're going to be talking with Ed De La Rosa. We're going to talk about the value of working with a CEPA, Certified Exit Planner. And Ed, exit planning is not just about, I want to sell my business today. We'll get into that in just a minute. But anyway, welcome to the podcast, Ed.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me today.
A little bit about your background, if you don't mind. I've known you for 5 or 6 years. You're out there, financial advisor, and focusing a high focus on business owners. I think you've done that for a long time. But just a little bit about you first, and then we'll get into the conversation here about, why people need an exit planner, even if they're not looking to exit the business right now. But a little bit about your background, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I've been in the financial services industry since forever, since I was a teenager. Basically, I started out in insurance, working for a retail captive agency, been in management in different capacities across the country. Grew up in Los Angeles and currently live in beautiful Tampa, Florida, and came here to really focus on business owners. A lot of need, a lot of growth, a lot of baby boomers that I've been talking to over the past few years, especially as I've gone independent for the past 5, 6 years. I've been able to talk to a lot of baby boomers and see that there is a huge need in being able to fill where their 401k, so to speak, their business is not doing what they want it to do. And so we've come up with solutions and come up with processes and linear process to help them find what is the best solution. How can I retire and keep my lifestyle in retirement and not lower my lifestyle because I'm selling my business or losing my sole source of income.
We talk a lot about, the exit of the business, but not everybody out there listening right now is looking to exit. They're looking to grow. And when they do exit, they want to do it on their own terms. And on my radio shows recently, I've come into any number of business owners recently that wanted to exit their business, and their business 2 years ago, 5 years ago was worth a much higher number. And because of situations, whether it's the economy, burnout, or something, it's caused that value to drop dramatically. But we're going to focus a little bit on what is a CEPA? First, what is a certified exit planner? What does that designation bring to the table?
Yeah, so a CEPA is in essence, it can be mean many different things because there are many different types of disciplines of folks who are CEPAs. You have attorneys and you have M&A and you have all types of people. But the main focus of any CEPA is to add value to a business. And my particular role is as a quarterback, so to speak, making sure that the right people are in place to help you grow your business and figure out when an exit is the right time. The last thing we want is having death as your exit plan. That's not a good plan. So we want you to basically have something in mind, something in writing where we can go ahead and have a process, add value to that business every 90 days. Take a look. Do we want to grow? Do we want to exit? And one of the things that we sometimes, a lot of times, we miss is the fact that there's really a lot of times we're just looking at the P&L and we're just looking to see, hey, what's my profit, and that's the value of my business. But sometimes it's about de-risking. Sometimes it's just kind of improving a couple little things or kind of tweaking a couple little things that maybe doesn't increase the profit of the business, but might increase the multiple as far as when how much you can get your business for. And then the other thing that we need to plan for is tax planning. Especially when it comes to future tax planning. And so those are the kind of things that we kind of look for in trying to help you build growth, build value, and build something of significance for your business.
You know, in talking to business owners and studying the CEPA exam, and we have lifestyle operators where that person, me and you, probably included in that mix. At least I was for many, many years. Where we're the everything to the business. We're the number one salesperson. We're the number one firefighter if challenges, issues with clients or situations, employees. We're the number one, and so we may get to the point where we're making a lot of money, but because the company is structured so much and so dependent on us as the engine for that business, that we really can't step back and enjoy it as much as we want. Even if we go on vacation, we're making phone calls back, we're checking in on things, we're getting texts, and we're having to fight fires even if we're sitting on the beach or a mountaintop somewhere. But my point to it is that in these strategies, implementing these strategies and processes, building out teams can bring additional value and increase profitability, but also give them some life back.
Absolutely. Just this morning, actually, had a meeting with a business owner this morning at 6:45 in the morning, and he's growing his business exponentially. And main impetus has been his son. His son has really encouraged him to grow the business. They have family in Canada who have a similar business doing $50 million a year, and they've been able to grow their business from 8 employees to about $1 million revenue to about 5 million in revenue in just a few months. But one of the biggest factors to their stumbling their growth is having the right team in place. The CEO, for example, the owner, he's basically wearing too many hats. He's trying to do the bookkeeping and being the operations person, and so when you're trying to do too much, is sometimes you make some not the greatest decisions. I don't want to say bad, but sometimes you don't make the greatest decisions, or you can't see too clearly, and hindsight is 2020. And that's really where we come in to see, okay, do we need someone else in the team, or can we reallocate someone on that team that might be better suited for a different role to help you grow? Because any business is not growing is dying. And so, but these are the kind of things, especially when you have exponential growth, like this company now has almost 100 employees. You really need to be operate on a level of operational excellence in order to continue growing. And right now, they've kind of retracted. They've kind of put the brakes on growth for a month or two because they don't have the right team in place. And so we're getting that going right now, and then hopefully they'll be start growing again in January.
So building the lifestyle, have people, experts in place, a team of people that have been there, done that, had some training, maybe some certifications, and people that worked in the space. I found myself, years ago struggling in business, and I found mentors, and that's kind of what we're doing right here. We're looking for people that can help us grow our business more rapidly and increase the bottom line, increase the amount of time that we have to enjoy, because you never promised another day. I have a owner that I was working with and looking maybe to exit his business in a few years, and died and had a heart attack at age 60. I'm concerned about the survivability of that business over to the widow of the business, that's now the owner of the business, and if it was structured properly. And I'm also thinking about him. Did he work so much that he couldn't enjoy life? So it's any number of things. Right now, we see employee retention, hiring and retaining of key employees, just attracting them, getting them in the door, getting them to show up. And people focused on income, that's important, but getting them to think like teammates, like ownership, and even if they're not owners, getting them to think and perform like that, I think is valuable too. And some of the strategies that we have sound like they're expensive, but it doesn't really have to be that.
Well, I think cost is all I have to put in context too, because if we're able to go ahead and help a business grow by X dollar amount, now you're able to sell for 20 or 30 million, where before maybe you were only doing 10. Does 5% or 10% of that value of that business, is that really expensive? Because if we're adding value, then of course it's gonna be worth every single penny. And so really these things are not that expensive when you put into the context of the value that a team is adding. And something really unique that we do is that, unlike other folks that might help you try to transition to an exit where they hire everybody, we make sure that the company hires the folks. That way they report to them. That way they know the fiduciary responsibility is towards the company and not towards me or some broker or someone else, but really just to continually adding value to that business, the owner and their families, to provide what they need for their goals for their exit.
Depending on your industry, I've seen, and you probably as well, companies that struggle. They're struggling. They do the same thing. They try different strategies, techniques, and they still stuck in a rut. They're doing okay, perhaps. They're making a decent living, but still they're not having the life they want. They're not hitting the goals. And they see these other companies like the one you mentioned come on in sometimes a relatively short amount of time, are just knocking it out of the park and heading down the street and growing their business. And we talk about all the time, it's exit. Sometimes people, if you talk purely exit, and that's 5 or 10, 15 years down the road from me. Well, I just had a neighbor I just found out just recently, and I think he's in his early 40s and just sold his construction company. I don't know the whole story just yet. I know his wife's a business owner too, and I'm eager to find out why. It's not that I needed to be there involved in helping him grow or exit the business. I'm just curious. I'm always curious as to why now. Maybe his burnout. Maybe the offer was so great, the multiple is so high that he took the profit and he'll go and take some time off and find something else to do. Maybe he was burnout and he's just over it. I don't know, but I'm curious. But the back to the point is, in growing a business with the end in mind, the exit in mind, is always good to be ready to retire, be ready to exit the business, whether you really want to, because then the business is attractive to other potential suitors for your business. And it's also probably, if you got teams and processes in place, it means that you have a life. And the business is not your life. You have an opportunity to golf, fish, go out with your family. Don't miss the ball game for your kids or grandkids or whatever it might be. But it's all inclusive here, and it's so important to function like you're wanting to exit the business in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and whether you are or maybe you never exit. But just some thoughts there about the growth with the end in mind a little bit, Ed.
You bring a lot of good points and a lot to unpack, but we found that there's basically 5 limitations for you to be able to progress and get to that end in mind. Number one is lack of clarity about what the true problem is. A lot of times we think we may know what we need to grow the business or to have an exit, or we think we know what the value is, but we're not 100% sure, and we don't know why. And sometimes we can uncover things in your business that you didn't even see. And so it's always good to get a fresh set of eyes from folks that understand operations, from folks that understand value and multiples and exit planning. So that way you know exactly where you stand, because that's going to take us to the second limitation that we want to break through, and that's the math, right? What is the missing math around the real number? What is your business truly worth today? And what can it be really worth tomorrow? What are the risks, non-financial risks that you might have? And so give clarity to that as well, because a lot of times we think of, what are the financial risks, but we don't think about what are the consequences of actually exiting, that we didn't think about before, that perhaps we didn't think we cared much about. Perhaps we're a lot of times our business owners are community leaders, and they're well respected in the community, and they have a certain weight, right, to what they say or what they do in the community, and perhaps they might feel that some of this is lost once they exit. And so there's like 10 to, depending how you want to count it, either 10 or 14 different ways of exiting a company. It's not just all about the money for some folks. For some folks, it's about, okay, what kind of legacy am I leaving? I want to take care of my employees. I want to make sure I have a solid transition for my family. What does that look like, and then what does that look like for you afterwards, which leads us to the fourth limitation, which is how to make a regretless choice. Because unfortunately, most business owners, most entrepreneurs, when they actually say, okay, I'm exiting, this is it, I'm not opening up another business, they tend to have regrets, and then they're just itching to get back into business. So we want to make sure that there's something in place, whether that's some kind of philanthropy, where that is another business, whatever it is, making sure that the choice that they make is going to be one without regret. And then who's going to drive, this is the fifth point, who's going to drive the work that follows decision. So who are going to be the players, who are the people that you can trust, and hold accountable to making sure that your focus is there to the very end and see things through. And so we realize that it's not always about money. It's about relationships. It's about people. It's about the process, and it's about all the details in those financial metrics that we need to take a look at alongside, right, that regretless choice, alongside any legal or tax considerations we want to take into play. And so there's a lot to unpack, but that's why you have a great team behind you to help you get through those past those limitations, and making sure that this is a decision. However, you decide to exit, know the options that you have, and be able to be happy about it, and what the legacy it is that you're leaving.
I would suggest to you, whether you're looking to exit the business or grow the business, knowing the value of the business is a really good starting point. Knowing the value of the business done by one of our team of experts, led up by one of our top people, Jeff Snell, one of the leading M&A experts in the country. Because you're a listener, because you're a viewer, a follower of our podcast and other money schools and other things that we do, our YouTube channel, we can get you that valuation for free. All you got to do is go to scale2sell.com/discovery, scale2sell.com/discovery. And I will tell you, is that whether you're looking to exit the business in the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right now is a really hot time. There's trillions of dollars seeking businesses, cash flow businesses that are well run, well managed. And even if you didn't sell 100%, selling 20%, 30% is something to think about, as why I want to find out about my neighbor and what prompted him, motivated him to sell his business at a relatively young age. And Ed, we're going to wrap it up right here, but there's so many things that we can talk about on the growth of the business, of scaling the business, and why working with a certified exit planner, somebody that's got experience, got some training, got some credit, certifications right there is so important. But any final thoughts before we wrap it up and move on to the next conversation at some point in the future?
I think the most important thing is to try to um, uh, get the conversation going. The sooner, the better. It's not a matter of I want to sell my business today, because we may not be able to get you the best valuation. We may not be able to get you the best multiple. There are. We want to make sure that we start today, and it's a 3 to 10 year process to help you grow and get ready to exit, be able to talk with the entire team. We have something called the anatomy of a true start, where we basically have a survey that allows you to kind of share with us how you're feeling, how your team is feeling about the processes that you have in place. And so that way we can go ahead and start. One of the things we need to do is know exactly where we stand. So a business valuation, whether it be a recasted or a calculated business valuation, these are things that are very, very important in order to know where we stand, so we know where to move forward and be able to design something that's going to help you exit, and not just for the sake of exiting, but making sure that you're exiting at the highest valuation possible and at the highest multiple possible, because those are two different things. Sometimes just by the processes that we have in place inside the business, the different non-financial capitals that we can put in place or make sure that are in place, can actually increase the multiple of your business without you increasing the profit. But time is the most valuable thing that we can have. So the more time you do this, the better.
Hey, and I want to also mention, sorry to interrupt you, but the our tax planning team. A lot of times we think we increase our profits by increasing our sales, and that's true. We all want to do that, whether it's organic sell or through an acquisition. But our tax planning team, in some cases, can save you money on taxes, putting money back into the business by reducing your mitigating the expenses there to Uncle Sam, and things that you don't know. Well, that allows you to have more money to grow the business, more capital. It increases the value of the business if you're looking to exit, makes it more valuable and all those things.
And I think just I want to add one thing to that. One of the programs we have in place, Steve, is being able to save folks on payroll taxes, the business owner and the employees. And out of the gate, that doesn't cost the business owner anything. And we're able to go ahead and start adding additional value because we're increasing the margins, increasing the net profit. And so these are things that we need to put in place in order to help you get ready for an exit. So all these things, whether it's just one step or the entire step of the process, we're here to guide you through that.
I love, those wellness benefits you're referring to right there, the reducing of the payroll tax. Your taxes that you pay and your employees pay to put more money back in not only your pocket, but the employee's pocket could help out with retention and increases profitability, increases the multiple, the value of the business, and all those things. So many things to learn from. I would encourage you to go to scale2sell.com, scale2sell.com/discovery to start the process, whether it's learning about the strategies there that Ed was talking about, lowering your payroll taxes. Who doesn't want to lower your tax obligations to the government? No doubt. It's an easy thing to do. And again, scale2sell.com/discovery. I say, we're starting a program. I'm a big believer in getting things done. If I see something and it makes some sense, I want to dive into it. The difference between people that go on to have success in business and really knock it out of the park and do well is they get things done. The others, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get around to it. And sometimes they do. Many cases, they don't. Ed De La Rosa, one of our certified exit planners from Tampa, Florida, works with our team from all over the country, not just in Tampa, Florida, actually out of the country. He's got clients in Canada as well and down in Puerto Rico and other places. And so anyway, so it's growing really rapidly. Scale2sell.com/discovery. Ed De La Rosa, we appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Everyone, hey, don't forget to keep scaling your business. We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you for listening to Scale to Sell with Adam Burton and Steve Burton. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.scale2sell.com or give us a call at 757-313-4080. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Scale to Sell. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing, tax, legal, or other advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professionals with any questions you may have regarding your personal or professional plans. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.